Hello, this is Pastor Roland. Welcome. Today I want to talk about something very important, and that is faith. I want to talk about faith. Faith, we all know that we need to have faith, but we don't know what faith is. We know that we have to, for example, believe in ourselves. People who believe in themselves, who have confidence, for example, are better off than people who totally don't believe in themselves at all. Of course, we also know that some people are overconfident, okay? And we know that's no good either. But somewhere between those extremes, having confidence is better than being totally without confidence. We realize that, okay? And we also know that what you believe in makes a big difference. See, it makes a difference who you believe, what you believe. So all of our life, it's we try to have faith in ourselves, and we're always full of doubt. Well, there's a blessing in it actually. There's actually a blessing in it because there is such a thing as good doubt. Let's talk about that. Let's say that you had put your trust in some person who is no good, a cheater, a liar, a person who wants to take advantage of you, steal your money or something like that. But you trust that person a lot. Okay, you hear stories about that, don't you? But then all of a sudden, suppose one day you began to doubt this person. Something he said, something he did, something you found out. Makes you to begin to doubt this person. Now, would that be good doubt or bad doubt? That would be good doubt, because you're doubting his lies, basically. You see what I mean? You're doubting his veracity. You're doubting his integrity. So that's good. Okay? Now, here's a very interesting thing, and that is that human beings um, inherently doubt God. Okay? We doubt God, and we doubt the truth. It's much easier to believe a liar. A liar comes along, he's very clever and charming. It's much easier to believe him than it is some wet blanket truth teller who seems harsh and mean. See? It seems cold and hard. Where they talk about the cold, hard truth, see? Whereas the lie is comforting. So we like liars more than we like truth tellers. And we elect liars. See, men marry a woman who, basically marry a woman who he wanted to lie to him. See, she went along with it. But eventually, after they're married, then she begins to withdraw the lie sometimes, and when she does, then he goes into agony. It's like he goes into drug withdrawal. See, because her lie is a love. That he's a great man, that he can do all these great things on his own, without God. See, and she worships, and she also promotes the lie that the animal is a real man, whereas actually our animal self, our fallen reproductive self, is what we fell to. We fell from being higher to the lower. Now that's what we're born with, so it's not to be condemned, but nevertheless, worshiping it and pretending that it's the highest thing, that's a lie. Okay? So when he discovers that she's lying to him, then he's resentful. But that's what he wanted from her. See? So he shouldn't resent her for it, because that's what he demanded from her. And we elect politicians that lie to us. See? So you see how that works. Okay? So because we believe the lie, that's why people get fooled and tricked and deceived and all kinds of stuff a lot, because the lie is more believable than the truth. But we're inherently believers in the lie. We inherently doubt God. See? So when a truth speaker comes along, like Christ, for example, he was a truth speaker. Most people doubted him. Some believed him, But most people doubted him. And to this day, look at how people doubt him. And they write books, and the archaeologists spent millions and millions of dollars trying to drum up some evolution lie, trying to drum up some something that will prove that they try to prove that we came from apes. See, instead of being fallen creatures. And they're always trying to find some fault with the Bible. See, nitpicking this and talking about contradictions. That seems to be what they really enjoy. Oh, they love looking for contradictions, and if they think they found one, then they're just ecstatic, because they want to doubt the truth. See, they're comfortable in their doubt, and since most of us are unsure of ourselves, see, most of us, yes, are unsure of ourselves and don't know for sure, or doubt ourselves, or are prone to doubt, even though we may be on the truth side of things, we tend to see what's true, and we kind of like it. Nevertheless, because we doubt ourselves, we think, well, maybe, see, so we're not strong enough with the truth. Or we compensate, see, because we don't have absolute faith, perfect faith, then we have to reach down and dredge up some compensatory energy. So we make affirmations, we repeat them over and over again, and give testimonials with lots of emotion. And if we don't have emotion, we try to pretend that we have emotion, or we try to drum up emotion, and we use music. See, we try to use music to help us become emotional. So you see the rabble rousers and the people who are always trying to, the smooth talkers and those ones who are always trying to get people gingered up. You see how they're always playing upon emotions. Because when people become emotional, it's a false faith. See, it's a false faith. So you see how that works. So real faith does not require emotions. It doesn't require emotions, and it doesn't require proof. See, you see what's true, and then later you discover a lot of good reasons why it's true. Okay, which go right along with what you knew. It's like Albert Einstein, for example. See, he was a man of faith when it comes to religion, probably far further than we know. I'm thinking. I suspect he was a very nice man. But as far as his scientific discoveries, see, he discovered them. He intuited them. He intuitively saw, see, things, and then he found the math to describe what he saw. And then he waited, sometimes years, for what he had seen intuitively to be discovered. Or proven, let's put, not discovered, proven. He waited years for it to be proven. So eventually, when it was proven, he was not greatly, for the most part. Of course, early on he was, but for the most part, he wasn't tremendously excited about it because, well, he was excited because it meant that people would now believe him. He knew it was true, but they needed proof. You see what I mean? All right. So now, when it comes to God, see, Christ talked about faith. He talked about unbelief, which was not a good thing. In fact, there was one place where it said that he performed very few miracles there because of people's unbelief. See? And of course, if you don't believe, then you don't have faith either, because faith is trust, complete belief and complete trust. So they didn't believe him. See, even his, you notice even the apostles. Did you notice how many times they didn't understand what he was saying? He had to explain it to them, and he marveled at he marveled at people's unbelief. Remember one time he was walking in the water, and I think it was Peter. He said, "Peter, come along." Or he asked Peter to come out and walk on. So Peter was walking on the water, and then Peter doubted, and then he began to fall into the water and drown. And Christ says, "Why did you doubt?" See, So people are inherently doubters. So that's what you have to understand. And the powers that be, and the manipulators, and the clever people, see, and wives, see, which husbands demand of them, are good at lying. Okay? They're good at lying to make us feel right when we're not right, and to doubt what we know in our heart, see, and believe more in what other people say. Now, here's the other thing. We tend to believe more in what people say than what we know in our heart. See, people come along with degrees on the wall, or they come along with some kind of credentials, or they're members of the media, see, or they're a professor, or they have a white coat on and a stethoscope, or they have on a black outfit, like this one. Okay, but I don't want you to believe me simply because I have it on. I have it on because I like it, and because it signifies what I stand for, which is what is good. See, what is good about helping people to realize truth and to find themselves. See, but you mustn't believe what I say just because of the way I look or the way I dress. If what I say is true, then it's true. Okay? Even if a little kid says something, if it's true, it's true. Okay? It doesn't matter who says it. Well, it does matter who says it, but the truth is the truth. That's the point I'm getting at. The truth is the truth, just like math. It doesn't matter who says it. A man in India or Pakistan, or a lady in New York, or a teenager or a child says some mathematical principle, and it's true. Okay? But now here's the thing. The thing is that it's not enough just to believe mathematical principles. Okay, it's not enough to believe, let's say, some religious statement that you read, maybe in the Bible or in some book, or you hear a preacher say, or someone says, or some guru or whoever, they say something, okay? And what they say is perhaps factual. Let's say it is factual. But it's not enough to believe it just because they said. It's not enough to believe those words, or because they said it. You have to see that it's true. And the way you see that it's true is because there's an inner testimony. See, it sits right. What they said sits right with you. What they said sits right with you. What they said has internally you know that what they're saying is true. You just know it. Okay, you don't know how you know, but you know. Okay? So it's the internal testimony that's the important thing, and that is actually. See, that's actually God's light. We see things in His light, in the light of truth, the inner light of truth. And it's in that inner light of truth that you see what is true. Okay? So, but what do the authorities try to do? They try to get you to doubt what you know in your heart, and instead believe into them, or believe into their words. See? And then they use some book as even a holy book. They use it as a club, see, or as a hypnotic fixation point, and as to try to try to force you on its authority to believe something. So if you happen to believe something factual because somebody said it or it was written somewhere, then that's not good enough. As a matter of fact, that kind of belief can actually block you from the saving belief. See, the saving belief. See, what saves you from the spoken word, what saves you from deceit and from lies, okay, and from believing into things that are not true. What saves you from that is the internal testimony that either wordlessly says that's not right, or wordlessly says, yeah, that's right. Okay? So there's an internal testimony to things. And that is from God, that internal testimony. So that's the important thing to believe into, is into that internal testimony. And then when you believe into that, see, you're believing into the source of truth. See, the inner light, God's inner light, wordlessly testifies to create facts that he created on the outside. See, God created facts. He created math. He created everything that is. And internally there's a testimony to that truth. So if somebody says something is true, see, what's important is not that he said it. What's important is whether there's an internal testimony as to what he's saying is true. You see what I mean? So real faith is believing into what you know in your heart. That's what real faith is. It's not believing into other people who lie to you. It's not believing into feelings which lie to you. It's not believing into words that lie to you. See, the human race fell by way of the spoken word. See, it was the serpent who spoke to Eve's mind, and then she spoke the words. And then Adam doubted based upon her words. See, that's how the human race fell and changed and deteriorated, and all of society deteriorated. The whole human race fell because of that. Okay? So the human race fell. We became compulsive doubters. We doubt God. See, inherently we doubt God. And inherently there's part of us that opposes God and opposes truth. See, but especially, because we don't mind truth if we can use it somehow to our advantage. But we oppose God. Why? Because we have an ego, which is also a compensation. See, our identity should come from God. That's where our identity should come from. Even as Christ, you saw his identity came from God. Everything was about the Father. That's the way it should be in the home, too. Dad should be the center, the father. Father should be the center of everything. Father, his cheerfulness, his wisdom, his good-natured pointing things out, his teaching people. He should be the center. Okay, but in most homes, who's the center? Mom is the center. Dad becomes eventually a nothing. See, sitting in the living room watching TV. She becomes everything, and he becomes nothing. See, the authority is transferred to her, even as it was in the Garden of Eden. So with Christ, everything was about the Father. He was always talking about the Father. See, he identified completely with the Father. And he loved the Father, even as we, if we have a good Father, we love our good Father. And when we love the good that is in our Father, see, if you had a good Father, then he would have a rapport with God, an inner rapport, and he wouldn't doubt himself. He would have a bond, see, with his Creator within, which would give him faith, and would give him patience, and would give him love. See, he would have those, and would give him wisdom and understanding and long-suffering and all those beautiful things that would come from faith and from love of truth, see, and patience. He would have those. But where would they come from? How would they become established in him? They would come from God, see. So if you love the good Father, see, but a lot of us don't have a good Father. And if you don't, then you can still be okay by not resenting your Father. That's the secret. Don't resent him. Don't hate him. Don't have a grudge against him. But if you see the good if you have a good Father, and then loving the good in Father is the same as loving God. So then when you grow up, and then you become an adult, then it's just a very small step to transfer your allegiance from the good that you saw in your Father to God. See? So you see how that is. But so where does our identity come from then? If it doesn't come from Father, if for you it doesn't come from your earthly father, and then later by not resenting your earthly father and by loving the good that's in him, if there is good in him, then eventually you transfer your allegiance to the heavenly Father. Then your identity comes from him. You identify completely with him. But where does most people's identity come from? It comes from the outside. See. So first, as a replacement for identifying with good, with God, with principle, as a substitute, since we have to have some identity. See, we need some kind of an identity. Then we have an ego. See, which is our little I am. See, so we have an ego. We want to play God, see, but it's bad. It's one thing to have an ego, which we all have. We're born with one. That's how we're born. So that's how we're born. That's just the way it is. And with time, we're supposed to lay down the ego life. Paul tells us to lay down the ego life, okay, and pick up the spiritual life. See, to graciously begin to lay down those things that support those life supports of pride and willfulness. Okay? See, that's why that's why the wise men would fast. Okay? That's why they would fast. Because they recognized that there's something about food. There's something about food. See, he was involved in the Garden of Eden. There's something about food that enhances willfulness. Okay? You watch people when they eat. You watch how they become a bit more animal, a bit more arrogant, a bit more, arrogant, prideful, in kind of an ugly way. A lot of times when they're eating, you watch, you'll see that. So, wise men would fast in order to weaken that will, that ego will. Okay. But anyway, so we have the ego, which we gradually should lay down, but we can only do it with the help of God. See, without God's help, without at some point becoming sensing His presence very much, and willingly having a change of heart about things. Before it was all about getting even and getting to, becoming big in the world, or relying on other people to somehow make you great or good or powerful or rich or happy or successful or something or other. So it was all about your ego wanting things from the world, see. So you wanted what the world had to offer: popularity, pleasure. See? You wanted that. And you resented when you didn't get it. Or when other people had it, then you didn't have it, then you resent it. See? And that resentment just caused you to strive harder. But some of us never feel totally happy with that way of life. See, it's not for us. Our calling is a higher one. But for a time we're thrown in with everybody else, and there we are hunting and pecking for support and approval, and the crumbs that are thrown to us. Okay, so there we are. But so we have an ego. It gives us some kind of an identity, and then our ego identifies with others. So who do we identify with? Well, we identify with whoever it is that comforts us, whoever it is that gingers us up and promises us greatness. See? Or models what we think of as will be greatness. See? So if someone gets too close to their mother, to their mom, for example, they hate their dad, or she sets them up to hate their dad, and they get too close to mom, then they become just like her. See, they take on her nature. Okay? Then we go out in the world, or then we look for some to compensate. So that person, let's say it's a guy, he takes on his mom's nature, and he goes out in the world to try to find sports models or macho sports models that he can to try to identify with them, so he can to compensate for for the female that he feels growing up inside of him. You see. So he tries to identify with macho men on the outside and sports people and all that kind of stuff. See, it's all a compensation. And we admire the worldly ones. Whatever your idea of greatness is, then you look for them, whether it's an actress or an actor or an entertainer or some professor or some rich person or some knowledgeable, worldly knowledgeable person, or some clever seducer or politician, whatever it is that you see, or a gang leader, or whatever it is that you admire, that offers a model for your ego to grow toward, then you admire them, and you, even if you hate them, you still begrudgingly admire them and try to take your identity from them. So you see that um, you have to begin to wean yourself from these worldly associations and worldly mutual admiration things, and from the world, wanting something from the world, money, power. See, I mean, it's okay to want money. See, we all need money to do things. That's okay, but to be greedily want to greedily acquire in order to build your ego. See, so whatever it was that you've made too important, a lot of times it's popularity, being accepted by the group. See, that sort of thing. Or to compensate for what you don't have. See, we sense somehow that we don't have faith, so we study to try to acquire a lot of knowledge so we can lord it over other people with knowledge, and then we make them doubt themselves. And see, compared to them, we can, by comparison, we can have confidence. You see what I mean? Knocking someone down to build yourself up, or making them doubt themselves, so they believe in you, and then by them believing in you, then you believe in yourself. See how that game goes? So when you begin to see what that's all about, then you can begin to let go of it. Okay? Let go of it. And there will come a time where then you're wandering through the world, and you say, no, I don't want that, and no, I'm not interested in that kind of glory and that kind of power, and I'm not interested in that. And see, gradually you kind of lay these things down, okay? And for a time you don't know what good is in store to replace it. Well, first you have to be willing to let go of that ego life, okay, without resentment. See, a lot of us are very grudgingly. Remember the man who came to Jesus, the rich man, and said, what Jesus says, well, how you doing? He says, well, I'm doing good. I obey all the laws, and I never cheat or lie or steal or anything, and obey all the laws of Moses. And then Jesus said, well, you're doing well. There's only one other thing you need to do, and that is to sell all of your goods, riches to the poor, and then follow me. And the man went away very sad because he couldn't do that. Now, some people misinterpret the story. It doesn't mean that we have to be poor. It doesn't mean that. See, some poor people are very prideful. They take pride in their poverty. So it doesn't mean we have to be poor. But it means in that particular man's case, his worldly riches were too important to him. So if he had been willing to let go of them without resentment, okay, then there would have been even more for him later. He probably would have gotten all of his wealth back, like the end of the Job story. He would have gotten all of his wealth. Everything would have come back to him from God, and more. See? So you have to see that by giving up some of these things, whatever it is you make too important, your marijuana, music, you may have to begin to let go of your music. But don't do it willfully. Don't say, today's the day I'm going to give up music, or today's the day I'm going to, stop. See, just see if it happens. If for example, if you meditate with my meditation, and then gradually these things will let you go. They'll let you go. One day you just won't need it anymore. You won't need the marijuana. You won't need the music. See? You can still listen to music, but somehow you just won't get so deeply into it, and you won't have to have it anymore. See? And the sweets, see, and the excess things, and the alcohol, and the approval of other people, and all the compensations. See, you'll be able to lay them down in due time. Don't try to make it happen, but you'll see. It'll gradually happen. And then other good things to aim for. See, shining truths to realize, and wonderful things to begin to do in your life will then come to you. Far more than what the tinsel things that you laid down. Okay? Far more than the tinsel things that you laid down. It says in the Bible, eye has not seen nor ear heard what God has prepared for those who love him. Okay? But first, you have to be willing to let go of some things. And one of the first things that you will have to see, so you can't let go of it until you see that it's not good and you should let go of it, will be resentment. Resentment of other people. So one of the first things you'll have to let go of is resentment. Okay? And the grudge against people. Okay, well, it's been a lengthy lecture, but I think a good one on the topic of faith. It's deserving of a lengthy talk. If you want to call 30 minutes lengthy, by today's standards, it is, okay? My name is Pastor Roland.